Hi guys, good evening. Hello and welcome to this Cleft Lip and Palate Association webinar on the topic of appearance-related concerns. This resource is the third in our psycho-educational series, learning about and understanding mental health and well-being, and is open to all adults born with a cleft lip and/or palate. This webinar has been funded by the National Lottery Community Fund and is being recorded and will be available for viewing later on our website and our YouTube channel. And so for this reasons, cameras have been turned off and microphones are muted. So please update your name if you have not already to just your first name and initials. Also, please note that this webinar is for adults born with the cleft and is not suitable for children or young people. And if you're watching live and would like captions for this webinar, please select closed captions by clicking on the three dot section at the bottom of your screen. So we will start with some introductions and housekeeping, as well as giving a brief summary of the content. Yeah. Yes, so my name is Anna. I'm a volunteer at CLAPA and I've been volunteering now for probably coming up to 6 years, so done quite a lot. And yeah, so today I'm joined by Emily. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, my name is Emily Wilmore. I'm a trainee clinical psychologist and I'm currently working at the Evelina London Cleft Service.
Hi, I'm Catherine. So I'm a clinical psychologist working at Broomfield Hospital in Chelmsford with the CLAPA service there, and I've been involved with a few webinars with the CLAPA team.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Croft. I'm the Adult Services Coordinator at CLAPA.
Amazing, thank you very much. So a little bit of housekeeping for those of you joining us live. Please use the Zoom chat function to speak with a member of CLAPA staff at any point during the webinar. You'll see a hello message pop up shortly. And if you have any issues with this, please just email adults@clapa.com and we can respond via email. If you have any comments or questions throughout the webinar, please put these in the chat and we can respond to them at the end. Might be helpful to have a pen and piece of paper just in case there's anything you hear that you might want to write down. And we will send out a feedback form via email after the webinar this evening. Please complete this, it really helps us. And we really welcome any feedback to help us improve future events. If you find any of the content covered challenging or distressing, please contact CLAPA staff via the chat box or email adults@clapa.com for support. We will be sharing links at the end of the webinar to signpost support and useful information, and this will be included in the post-webinar email. You can also access the Cleft Clinical Psychology team and your local NHS Cleft team by seeking a referral or contacting your GP. More information is available on our website. Your health and well-being are really our priority, and if for more urgent mental health support, please contact 111, your GP, or in an emergency, call 99 or attend A&E. This webinar will last up to 1 hour in length with no breaks, and depending on how many questions we have at the end. And if at any point you need a break or to leave the webinar, please remember that this is being recorded, so you can always come back later and pick up where you left off or to review it in case you missed anything. And throughout the webinar, there will be a lot of information provided, and we will be using a script prompt for much of the evening to ensure we can provide you with all the information we can on the topic. And please bear with us if at times it might feel a little rehearsed or a little robotic. And we would like to remind you that it will be recorded so you can listen again. And we hope that this format makes it a little bit easier to follow along, especially for anyone listening back later. We will be referring to some research and studies during the webinar, and it may be helpful to remember that these are a snapshot of a particular piece of research or group of people. And so some of the statistics and information given, therefore, might not be reflective of every individual born with the cleft's experience. So today we are going to cover the topic of appearance-related concerns, and we will start by looking at why we are covering this and a little bit of research on this. We will then explore identity, body image, social media, and discrimination, and what you can do. We are also going to briefly discuss acceptance and commitment therapy and exploring some of the approaches. And finally, we will look at decision-making and self-care. This webinar is not about making changes to your body or physical treatment options. If this is something you want more information on, please go and speak to your local NHS Cleft team.
So why this topic? We've received feedback from our previous webinars and heard through our community that appearance-related concerns are something which can impact adults born with a cleft and can have a negative impact on both mental health and well-being. And when we talk about appearance-related concerns, that could be maybe worrying about what others are thinking, maybe receiving negative comments from other people, or not being happy with what you might see in the mirror or in photos. That could impact on the way someone then lives their life. Maybe they're avoiding social situations, mirrors or photos. That might cause them anxiety and low mood and have a knock-on effect on work and relationships. Navigating appearance-related concerns can be a really difficult experience for someone. The aims of this webinar are to open up the conversation about what living as an adult born with a cleft may be like, to generate ideas for ways to manage any trickiness or difficulties, to leave feeling that you gained a little bit more information than you had when you joined, and you have some information about what you can do yourself, but also about what is out there that may be helpful. So feeling that you're not alone. Appearance-related concerns have been subject to quite a lot of research within both the visible difference community and specifically in the cleft community. So for context, there is an increasing awareness of those appearance-related concerns. The data has shown that adults born with a cleft may experience some dissatisfaction with their facial appearance, or at times may experience distress or disappointment with treatment, or worries of negative appearance evaluation. Part of the awareness of this is why psychologists are working within cleft teams and offering support around those kind of difficulties. It's important, however, to note that everyone is an individual and therefore different. Not everyone born with cleft will experience appearance-related concerns, and actually you are the only person who can judge the impact your appearance has on your life.
So we wanted to start off today by talking a bit about identity. Our identity is multifaceted. It involves our memories, relationships, experiences, and values, creating a steady sense of who we are over time as new aspects develop and are incorporated into our identity. No two people are the same, and we're all really unique in some way, whether it is our different personalities, our likes, our dislikes. This all together creates our sense of self or our self-concept, the idea we have of ourselves, which has a close relationship to body image. Body image and appearance are parts of our identity, but there is so much more to us than just this. So this brings us on to thinking a little bit about body image. Body image refers to how we think and feel about the way we look. It covers the thoughts and feelings we have about this, and it is the image we have in our minds about when we think about our body. Our perception of our appearance can change over time, and how much emphasis we put on our appearance will also change with it. How we feel about our appearance and our self-esteem are often interlinked. Lots of things can affect our body image, including comparing ourselves to others, feeling the pressure to look perfect, and being bullied over our looks. When we don't feel good about our appearance, this can impact upon our self-esteem and our self-confidence, making us feel unhappy and isolated. Appearance dissatisfaction or being unhappy with our looks is often one of the biggest social issues of modern day and affects many adults, not just those born with cleft. We wanted to note that being born with a cleft may also impact other areas other than just appearance, such as speech. This can have a similar influence on how we feel about ourselves or how others interact with us. And if future resource on confidence and speech could be helpful, please do let us know in the feedback.
We couldn't do a webinar on appearance-related concerns without touching on the topic of society and social media. They play a huge role in our body image and how we feel about ourselves. In our society, we're constantly exposed to this idea of a beautiful person with a perfect body everywhere we look. People's flaws are covered up with clever makeup, expert filming, AI, filters, airbrushing, Photoshop, and so on. If you haven't already seen it, check out the Dove Beauty video. We will include the link in the follow-up email we'll send out tonight. This really demonstrates how companies edit content to fit their narrative. The images we see are often altered to give an unrealistic view of how people look in real life, and we're endlessly encouraged to compare ourselves with these. And this can be harmful, and it's important to acknowledge that what we see may not be real. It can be really, really difficult to avoid social media, TV, all those things, but there are things you can do which you might find helpful, which we're going to cover later.
So related to appearance-based concerns, we think it is really important to discuss discrimination. And sadly, 39 out of 181 adults born with a cleft who were surveyed reported experiencing discrimination, such as being mocked for their appearance or speech. And examples of this were things such as bullying or struggling in a job interview due to speech, hearing, or appearance, or not even being given equal opportunities for workplace success, such as being overlooked for promotion or not being considered for a role. And no one should be experiencing discrimination, and especially in their place of work. And this won't happen to everybody. However, if you feel you may have been impacted, here's what you can do. So, what might help when it comes to tackling any of the issues raised so far? With regard to managing social media, sorry, one second. Apologies. So with regard to managing social media, it is a good idea to try and focus on positive social media. You could stop following accounts that make you feel down, or even limit the amount of time you spent on social media platforms. Don't engage with people online who are unkind and report them on those platforms. Follow people and pages which align with your values and interests, and curate your own algorithm to serve you. Scroll past videos and clips which aren't helpful, and you can do the same with TV and film, and seeking out those which you enjoy based on your interests. When it comes to your own body image and changing your relationship with your body, it can sometimes be helpful to think about what your body can do rather than what it looks like. So reflecting on what our body is capable of can really help us make us feel better. So, for example, I managed to run 5 kilometers. If you could think about how strong your body has been, it could help you overcome lots of difficult things, such as multiple surgeries. Can do amazing things. So the charity Changing Faces has lots of really useful information regarding discrimination and your rights, and where you can seek support around this on their website, as well as a support and information line which you can contact. And CLAPA also has employment webinars that you can view on our YouTube channel, which focus on job interviews, your first day, and rights at work. And if you're still struggling with your body image due to comments from other people, it can be helpful to use the explain, reassure, distract approach. We discussed this in more detail in our previous webinar on self-esteem, and we'll provide the link for that in our follow-up email.
So sometimes it can be able to access professional support. So especially if your appearance-based concerns are having an impact on your mental health and your well-being. And there are lots of different options for that. Acceptance and commitment being just one of those therapeutic approaches that might be helpful. And so acceptance and commitment, known as ACT, and it aims to support people in accepting their thoughts and their emotions, and seeing the appropriate responses to certain situations, and then trying to find ways to take committed action towards things that are most important to you. And ACT recognises that in life there will be some stuff sucks. One of these may be managing appearance-related concerns. And ACT is one way of moving towards accepting what you can't change and choosing to live life anyway, despite the stuff that sucks.
I think Catherine got to the ACT hopes to maximise a person's potential for a rich and meaningful life, while effectively handling inevitable challenges which can appear. So it does acknowledge that as wonderful as life can be, everyone will have moments and experiences of trickiness, difficulty and disappointment. ACT is especially relevant for adults born with a cleft because it supports acceptance of medical, emotional and social challenges. It reduces avoidance behaviours that may develop around treatment, appearance or communication, and encourages people to live in line with their values, even in the presence of those tricky thoughts and feelings.
Thank you, Becky. So one of those ACT techniques, I'm really apologising for the challenges that I'm having at the moment with the internet, but trying to accept and cope with those challenges. So this technique that we're going to look at is something called the choice point. So within ACT, metaphors are often used to try and illustrate some of the different ideas and different ways of trying to just make sense of things. And the choice point is an approach that looks to make sense of what is going on for all of us at any given moment. So it's something that can kind of be applied to any person, whatever, however good or challenging things feel at any given time. And it just helps us to think about how we can live a life which is really meaningful and important to us. And we're just going to watch a short video on the choice point to just try and illustrate that a bit further for us.
All day long, humans do things. Even if it's just sleeping. Now, some things we do move us towards the sort of life we want. When we're behaving like the sort of person we want to be, doing things that make life richer, fuller, more meaningful, we can call these towards moves. Now, other things we do move us away from the life we want to live. When we're acting ineffectively, behaving unlike the sort of person we want to be, doing things that tend to make life worse in the long term, we can call these away moves. Now, when things are going well, when life is giving us what we want, it's pretty easy for us to choose towards moves, to act effectively, doing stuff that makes life richer and more meaningful. But unfortunately, life just isn't that easy most of the time, and it doesn't give us what we want for very long. So as we go about our day, all sorts of difficult situations and difficult thoughts and feelings will arise. We may experience emotions such as worry, we may catastrophize, predict the worst, we may have thoughts popping up that I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, life sucks, it's all too hard. Now, unfortunately, we easily get hooked by those difficult thoughts and feelings. And almost every psychological problem, from stress and anxiety to depression and addiction, boils down to this basic process. We get hooked by difficult thoughts and feelings, and we do away moves. However, there are times when most of us are able to unhook from these difficult thoughts and feelings and choose towards moves instead. And the better we get at doing this, the better life gets. So that's what this approach is all about. We're going to bring in some helpers to help you get a lot better at choosing towards moves. As a first step, we're going to help you identify your values, who you care about, what matters to you, what sort of person you want to be, and use those values to guide and inspire and motivate you to do more towards moves. And we're also going to develop unhooking skills so you can get a lot better and a lot faster at unhooking yourself from all those difficult thoughts, feelings, emotions, and memories. The more we develop our ability to unhook and choose those towards moves that really matter deep in our heart, the greater our quality of life, the greater our health, happiness, and well-being.
So what we've got here is an example following on from that video, just to try and think about how that might look when we're thinking specifically about the context of an appearance-related situation. So this could be thinking about going into any kind of social situation, including attending work or going to the gym. And thinking about the thoughts that we might get hooked into that then lead to us feeling sort of hopeless or feeling rejected, feeling like a failure. So that might be kind of memories of situations like that. It might be just kind of what we're anticipating might happen, and what happens when we then get hooked into those thoughts is our actions then take us away from our values. And so we might do things like withdrawing from social situations, calling in sick for work, staying indoors. And what can happen alongside that is that then those things really reinforce those things. So things like watching excess TV or consuming lots of social media, and what we were talking about just before about how we can get those distorted perceptions. We might be consuming even more of those things that make us think that everybody else is having this perfect life and perfect existence, and they're living really maybe in line with their values, or achieving things that we're not. So what we're kind of hoping to do is unhook from some of those really unhelpful thoughts and feelings, so that we can move towards the things that are important to us, and that are going to help us feel that we're living the life that we want to be living. So that can be different for all of us, but those are some of the examples: going to work, socializing, going to the gym, and just kind of getting out of the house and doing things.
We're now just going to cover a couple of ways to get started. These include 2 approaches or techniques. So the first is allowing and creating space, which may be the unhooking, and then thinking about values and committed action. So firstly, allowing and creating space. One way of practicing this is to try out engaging with a metaphor, which was developed by Dr. Russ Harris, called the sushi train. We can use this approach to start taking some space from our thoughts, sitting back and noticing them going past. Slowing down gives us the opportunity to decide what we would prefer to do, making a choice of what is important to us, and trying to reduce actions which are led by our automatic emotions, thoughts, and urges. And we're going to watch a short video now on the sushi train approach.
So imagine that you're sitting in front of a sushi train at one of those Japanese restaurants, and there are all these dishes going past on the train. And in the center, there is the chef creating all of these dishes. The chef is like your mind, and the dishes are like all of those thoughts, ideas, memories that keep cropping up, coming and going all day long. Some of the dishes on that sushi train may be very appealing. Some of the stuff on that sushi train may be unappealing. And some of it may be neutral, and take it or leave it. And it's much the same with our thoughts, memories, ideas that pop up throughout the day. Some of them are very pleasant, we really like them, we want to hold on to them. Some of them are very unpleasant and we just want to turn away from them, get rid of them. And a lot of them are kind of neutral, they're neither positive nor negative. So all day long, the sushi chef of our mind is creating all these different dishes, and the train keeps carrying them round and round. These thoughts keep cropping up throughout the day. Now we can learn to step back and watch our thoughts coming and going in much the same way that we can step back and watch that sushi train. An unpleasant dish pops up on the train, we don't have to turn away in disgust and horror. A pleasant dish comes by, we don't have to reach over and grab it and stuff it down our mouth. And we can do the same with our own thoughts. We can step back with an attitude of openness and curiosity and watch them come and stay and go in their own good time.
Then the second approach we're going to cover is values and committed action. A value is something that's important to you, and it's a bit like a compass that guides us through life. Everyone's values are going to be different. There's not really a right way or a wrong way to approach values, or to what your values might be, and they can change over time. Values can look like things like closeness, adventure, self-compassion, self-care. So we thought we might just talk through a snapshot example of using this ACT technique of identifying values and still doing things which matter despite life and its trickiness. So to do this, Anna and I are going to use this values bullseye to guide a conversation together. So, Anna, I would like to invite you to have a look at this bullseye on the screen, and I would like you to imagine the centre being representative of where you would be at if you were living fully by your values. Around the circle, we've got 4 life areas: work and education, leisure, personal growth and health, and then relationships. The closer you place yourself to the centre, the more aligned your actions are with your values in that area. So let's start by exploring where you're at. How would you describe these areas for you at the moment?
Okay, in terms of work and education, I think I probably place myself on this, probably the second ring from the center. So I've been looking for a new job. I've been focusing quite heavily on like job hunting and trying to progress in my current job. And it's working. I start a new job in a week, which is amazing. But to get there, I've been working like really long hospitality hours. And I've been taking on like managerial roles to try and build experience. And I mean, whilst it means I haven't been doing something that I particularly love, I'm working towards something that's more important for me, I think. And hopefully, like when I start in a week, it'll be a little bit more aligned to my values. Hopefully, we'll see.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats on the new job.
You.
Sounds like you've been working really hard in this area. And I guess I was wondering maybe which values for you felt were maybe driving you in your current job, and what you were then maybe looking for in your new job, kind of what I guess particularly feels important to you and how you've handled this situation.
Okay, so at the moment, what's really hard is like one of the main things for me is like working hard and making sure I'm doing the best job I can. Also, especially now because I'm in charge of some people and I want my team to be able to, so they're relaxed and so like it's all working well and efficiently and that there's no stress. And that's currently, and I guess moving forward, I'm looking for in a new job something that gives back to the community, and also something that gives me a little bit more space to grow and to be a little bit more creative, and also just not to be in hospitality, which I love, but it's time to move on, I think.
Yeah. Hi, lovely. So I guess working hard, supporting others in your team are real driving factors for you at the moment, which in some ways maybe sounds like a value in like contribution or generosity that you kind of hold some importance to you. Although please do let me if I've kind of labeled those wrong or incorrectly.
That sounds right.
And I guess, well, maybe for your new job, having the opportunity to engage in some creativity and giving back are really key to you and what you're looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
I guess I was kind of maybe curious, like how you felt that other areas of your life or the other domains here are looking for you at the moment.
Okay, so maybe relationships. I put myself in the first ring at the center. I've really been trying to focus like on being a good support to my friends and family, like helping through breakups and other people start new jobs. And I think that this is probably something I value the most highly in my relationships. And so I spend a lot of my spare time really focusing on that. And then in terms of leisure, I think I've planned a few things that are fun, especially over the summer, but it's something I probably need to work a little bit harder on. I've been trying to do things together, so blending it with seeing friends and family and doing something fun. So maybe I put it on like the third ring out from the center. And then in terms of personal growth and health, I think I'd put this probably the furthest from the center, maybe the fourth ring. It's kind of health has sort of gone out the window while I've been spending a lot of time on everything else. And I guess that's probably something that I would need to work on most and like build into my life. So I have a bit more balance maybe.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for running through those. I guess it's sounding like you've been putting so much time and energy into family and friends, alongside all of this effort you were putting in with like education and work. But maybe there are some aspects of leisure or personal growth and health which feel like they've had a bit less attention recently, which I guess is so normal. And it's really important to note that like having all of these things right at the center of this diagram at all times is just unrealistic. We're all people, and things like summer fun is definitely a good reason to maybe drop off on some of them or being there for the people that are important to us. But I guess if we were to maybe just think a bit about regaining some balance across these areas, which would feel best for you to kind of look at the moment? Where did you want to start, maybe?
I think maybe if I started with the personal growth and health. So, I mean, that's what I've neglected most. And I think my changing hours of my job, I won't be doing crazy hours. I'll be doing more like 9 to 5 work. Will give me a bit of time, hopefully, to do that. So, I don't know, maybe going to a class, like a swimming group or something like that. And yeah, I'm not really too sure, but I think that will also mean, like, if I have a bit of space for that, I'll have a bit of headspace, and so hopefully I'll be able to give a bit more to the people that I love. We'll see, and be a better friend and better family member. Fill my own cup so I can help others.
Amazing. So, I mean, I guess if we think about that domain, you've talked a little bit about maybe what's important for you about that. And I guess sometimes, like, being caring towards yourself is like just as important, like you say, to then really help you connect with like those different areas or like life domains for other people as well. I guess if you're thinking specifically maybe about personal growth and health, are there any types of values that really show up or like really stick out for you?
Values, I mean, creativity, 100%. Making sure I have a bit of headspace. I want to find a healthy hobby. Maybe a sport that I enjoy, or I don't know, like I said, like a yoga class or a swimming class, or maybe doing a bit more cooking. So I'm eating actually things that I find like nourishing as well as filling me up. Something I enjoy, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, they all sound like really good first steps.
Okay.
And yeah, thank you for running through all of that with me.
Okay.
I appreciate kind of maybe like how brief this may have felt, but we've just kind of hoped that maybe this gives people a bit of a flavor of what like identifying values or taking committed action towards what is important can look like. But please do remember that this bullseye kind of isn't about being perfect in every domain. It's about noticing and choosing actions that move closer to living in line with your values. And it isn't always straightforward. Sometimes it can be, but it just helps us get back to maybe what's important for us. And it's a helpful way to do that. But thank you, Anna. So I guess one of the key ways to address appearance-related concerns is to practice these skills and to keep them going. There are several ways you can do this. I guess if you felt like you needed a bit more of extra support around it, you could always have a look at seeking referral to your local NHS Cleft team to access some psychology support, or you could have a look at some self-help books and resources. One on there that talks about an ACT approach is the Happiness Trap, which is just like a broad ACT self-help resource. It's not specific to appearance-related concerns, but some of the ideas we've touched on today will go into a bit more detail there. You might be able to access group therapy if available locally or through the NHS, or privately through an approved practitioner, which you can find on the British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy. And then finally, the Centre for Appearance Research, or CAR, have developed Act Out, which is an app for people over the age of 16, drawing on ACT ideas for managing appearance-related concerns. You can also use More Than My Appearance resource as well via the Visible Difference Support Hub, which will be linked in the follow-up email after today's webinar. Sometimes people might feel that further cleft treatment is an option that they would like to explore. If this is something that really resonates for you, then please do speak to your NHS Cleft team. You can find out more information about how to get a referral to them on the CLAPA website. And part of, I guess, the Cleft team offer is that it includes clinical psychology. And I guess their role within the team can be to support you with decision-making around further treatment, as well as discussing your experiences or your expectations or supporting around adjustment. And I guess in some instances, if people aren't offered any further surgery, that can be difficult or can bring up lots of different feelings for people. And so having a space to talk that through with a could be an option of way of managing this. So we just kind of wanted to finish on thinking a little bit more about emotional support and self-care. So I guess if you're struggling with appearance-related concerns, there are services out there that can support you. You can access the CLAPA's peer support service and counselling for free, or maybe you'd prefer to join the CLAPA Facebook group, which is just for adults born with a cleft, and become part of the community online. You can also access your local NHS Cleft team, and it's important that you keep talking with friends and family if you need to as well. And we encourage you to also bring in acts of self-care into your daily life, and that can really look quite different for each of us. Maybe it's about making something like really small, but making a cup of tea for yourself, or booking in that hair appointment, or getting yourself a massage. And it can just help to kind of help us to recognize maybe our own strengths or our positive qualities about ourselves outside of these things.
Thanks, Emily. We just wanted to kind of start to think about if any of these topics that we've covered tonight have affected you and you feel you do need further support. Obviously, Emily's already listed lots of the support available, but if it's something that comes up for you, please do speak to your GP or your local NHS Cleft team and the Cleft clinical psychology team as well. You can contact CLAPA on adults@clapa.com or reach out to the CLAPA services mentioned previously. And more information can be found on our website, which is clapa.com/support/adults. If anybody needs any more urgent mental health support, please contact 111, your GP, or in an emergency call 999 or attend A&E. We hope you found this webinar useful. This is the third in a series that we're developing at CLAPA. We would also like to provide you with some useful contacts, which might have some helpful information you can access, or if you just want to know a bit more about what we've talked about tonight. We've already mentioned changing faces, but you can also find your local Cleft team details through that link, and you can always access Samaritans if needed. You can access other talking therapies through the NHS, as well as Changing Faces offer counselling, as does CLAPA. So this webinar has been developed with information, support and input from the following, and CLAPA would like to say a huge thank you to Anna, Emily and Catherine for volunteering your time to develop all of the webinar and to run it this evening. Anne and Tony as well for reviewing all of the content. The National Lottery Community Fund and Face IT, which is an online support tool for people with a visible difference, as well as Changing Faces and CAR, the Centre for Appearance Research.
Okay, so now we're going to answer any questions from this evening. I know there was a bit of an issue with the chat function. Sorry about that, guys. If you do have any questions, please send an email. The links are all in the chat box below. Or if you want to message one of the hosts or co-hosts directly, please do. Some of the questions we have got from this evening. The first one is, what support is available to deal with childhood trauma and bullying? Yeah, guys, would one of you like to respond?
Yeah, I guess it sort of depends a little bit on the nature of the kind of trauma and the bullying. If it is linked to experiences with your cleft and appearance-related concerns, then that can definitely be appropriately dealt with by your local cleft team. And as Emily was saying before, they do all have a clinical psychologist linked in with them, so they are able to kind of offer some support, some therapy, which may or may not include the act that we've spoken about this evening. Obviously, if the other difficult experiences can emerge that might not be linked into your cleft, and so that might more appropriately go via your GP and local talking therapy services that will be available to everybody through the NHS, and obviously private support as well, which Emily spoke through about how to make sure that the people that are appropriately qualified that are offering that support. So those would kind of be the key things. it would be fine, because sometimes it's really hard to unpick what things are cleft related or not cleft related. So going to see your local cleft team if you're not sure, they'd be able to do an assessment and signpost if it feels that actually it might be a different service that might be able to offer that support. They'd be more than happy to do that. So definitely get in touch if that's something that you'd like some help with.
Amazing, thank you. So then I've got another question here. Do you have any guidance for dating as an adult with a cleft and also meeting new people?
So that's right, I'll jump in again. I was just thinking of Becky was saying before about the other webinars in the series. We have done a webinar on self-confidence and relationships, so it might be worth having a look at that specific webinar as a kind of starting point. And there's also the CLAPA lounge and peer support options, so that might be a starting point to kind of think about getting some more guidance from people that might have some of those lived experiences, some similarities, to help with getting that advice from somebody else that might have had those same questions and hesitations about kind of getting into meeting new people and having that confidence. I know we spoke about the ACT technique and about how we can get hooked into those are really unhelpful thoughts, and sometimes we assume that people are maybe going to respond in a certain way, or if we've had a negative experience before, that we're going to have similar experiences again. So I do think kind of working on yourself and how you see yourself means that you will value yourself more, put yourself into different situations, meet more people, and so sometimes it's kind of starting with building your self-confidence.
I was also just going to add as well, there is the Cleft Talk podcast that CLAPA has worked on, and you can find that on Spotify or any other kind of podcast provider. There's a couple of episodes on there to listen to, which are also around kind of relationships and intimacy and things like that might be good to check out, and that's with people sharing their lived experience as well. So yeah, that's the Cleft Talk podcast.
Amazing, thank you guys. Okay, so another question I have here is talking about what support is available to help me decide whether or not I should recommence further treatment.
I guess maybe in the first instance, if it's something you're kind of thinking about and you feel able to, it might be something that you feel comfortable talking through with friends and family who you've maybe had conversations with about this before, or maybe it feels a bit new, but it feels safe enough to do that. Or if kind of you've done that, or you're not sure about doing that, then CLAPA also offers a kind of a peer support service. So you can talk through with other people that have experiences with cleft, maybe have experience of going through further surgeries that you haven't yet been through. Just to have that kind of listening ear and space to run over those things from somebody with lived experience as well. Or of course there is your local cleft teams. I think as we kind of run through a little bit already, the clinical psychology offer within the cleft team is a space to kind of weigh up maybe treatment options or think a little bit about expectations or hopes, and also run that through with the other professionals within the cleft team, depending on what it is that you're hoping to think about or you're a bit unsure about. They'd be more than happy to explore with you what your options may or may not be.
Yeah, I think it's really important sort of having that starting point of finding out what the options are, just because I think sometimes you can maybe build up to thinking about whether or not to do something, and then that those options might not be available to you, and that can be really disheartening as well. So kind of try and if you're thinking about it, go and see the team, find out what those options might be, And then, as Emily's saying, being able to kind of weigh all that up with some professional support, with some peer support, with family support.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's really important, all of those. Okay, I have another question here that says, I have anxiety around being single and blaming this on my appearance. Where can I find support for this?
I think probably covered some of that with some of the other questions, but I think it is useful to, as I was saying to one of the other questions, like being able to kind of separate things out and work out what different things are linked to, what's getting you hooked into those really unhelpful ways of seeing yourself, or being hooked into doing things that aren't what you want to be doing. And what I can really hear in that question is maybe not wanting to be single, or to be stopping yourself from the opportunities to potentially meet people, or to go on dates and do those sorts of things. So anything that helps you to think through that, and to build up your self-confidence, how you see yourself, feeling more comfortable in those different environments, I think would be really useful. So do visit, as we say, whether it's the Cleft team, whether it's your GP, to see about unpicking some of that, to find out what might be linked to your appearance and what might be linked to other difficult experiences maybe that you've had.
I was also just going to add as well to what you were saying, Catherine. Obviously, there is also the CLAPA counselling service, which can work with people around kind of any anxiety-related issues. And the charity Changing Faces also have a counselling service as well. So a couple of other options as well there.
Yeah, and it's always worth getting on wait lists, because they all might move at different paces. So I always think kind of, seek help where you can get it, and you can always turn something down if something else happens that helps you before the next thing's available.
Yeah, no, amazing, great. Those links are really helpful. Another question I've got here, where can I get more information around reporting hate crimes?
Yeah, so really upsetting to hear that might be going on for somebody to having those experiences. I guess a lot of what we're talking about today is often about kind of perceptions, and not necessarily like linked into kind of what you're assuming maybe people are doing, or how you're going to be in a situation. Whereas this sounds like something which is really based in reality of actually having an experience that isn't okay. So it does feel really important to recognise those experiences and to be able to report that. I think a lot of the kind of social media and online services have ways that you can report inappropriate comments and behaviour online. So absolutely make use of those things. But if it feels that kind of more serious, and it is stepping into kind of that hate crime illegal territory, then there are, if you Google, there's lots of different ways that you can do that online, or via the local police and things like that. So we can, there is a website where you can do it, so we can always send that link through to the individual that's asked that question as well. And I think there's some stuff on Changing Faces as well around reporting things like that as well. So
yeah, no, maybe we can include some of those links on the feedback email that gets sent around after the series this evening. And then I think I've just got one more question here. It says, where can I find out more information about surgery for my lips, or treatment for ear or salivary gland infections, hearing and speech difficulties? I guess there's a little bit of a different slant.
yeah, just again, I know we sort of keep saying about your local Cleft team, but they are a really valuable resource, and they do have obviously the surgeons within there, they have orthodontists within there, they have audiologists, psychologists, speech and language therapy. So there are access to a lot of different people, and usually they'll have links to ENT as well, even if that's kind of an onward referral. So sorry, ear, nose and throat. So it is a useful kind of starting point to access support about any of those different things, and all of that has an impact on all the things we're talking about today. So yeah, if anything physically doesn't feel right, or you're struggling with things, then it makes it hard to have the confidence to go out if you're worried about your speech, or to be in social situations if you're with your hearing, or you keep having infections and things. So it is really important to get those things, get some support with those things if you need it. I think sometimes we think we just have to kind of accept and put up with things because we might be used to having ongoing kind of chronic things.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important to go and get those sorted, no? And I think that's everything in terms of questions for this evening. So if you are interested in reading more, here are some articles which have provided for most of the content for tonight's webinar. The list will be available to access once the recording is live on our website. And then thank you all for attending, and to those that are watching this back later, we hope it has been really an informative and helpful session. And please do use the QR code on this slide or the link in the follow-up email to provide your feedback. And also do get in touch through adults@clapa.com with any queries, or if you are in need of any support. Yeah, thank you so much and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.